diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences of the individual sharing their testimony. Results vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We are honored to have a founding father of the science of epigenetics guiding us with the best options to obtain or maintain optimal health, Dr. Joel Wallach. Welcome to Daily with Doc and Becca. This program is for educational purposes only. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences of the individual sharing their testimony. Results vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We are honored to have a founding father of the science of epigenetics guiding us with the best options to obtain or maintain optimal health, Dr. Joel Wallach. All right, hello everybody, and welcome to Daily with Doc and Becca. My name is Becca Dukes, as the owner and producer and host of this program. It is my honor and privilege to bring more empowering information to you as an individual who, yes, you are empowered. And we're just giving some more tidbits on how you can be even more empowered in your life, your community, and as we're working together in our world. So if you were invited by somebody specific, make sure that you get back with them with any questions that you may have, but most importantly, get back with them, tell them thank you, and what you liked best about the program that you are watching now. This is a live program, so if you're here live with us in the Zoom, make sure that you have that chat open, as Marilyn is going to be putting information into the chat that can help you take notes. And if you want to take a screenshot or a picture of what you see in the chat because you aren't writing or can't write fast enough, that's an option too. Now, for those of you who are out on the different platforms, please, and actually this is for everybody, okay? In the chat, let us know where you're joining us from. We love to know how many different areas around the world we are reaching. So please send us a comment, give us a thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel. And this program is being sponsored by dailywithdoc.com. We have a newsletter that's open to everybody. If you'd like to go to the website, make sure that you sign up for that newsletter. And on that website, you're also going to find replays of our past broadcasts and some articles that help you in making more nutritional decisions to creating an empowered and better health journey. So without further ado, I am super excited to have with us today From Wall Street to wellness, from fast-growing entrepreneur to spiritual powerhouse, get ready to be inspired. We are diving deep with Raymond Brown, a man who's not just built businesses, he's building lives. He's a transformational coach, a relationship marketing titan, and yes, he has even rung the NASDAQ bell, folks. But more than just that, he's here to show us how to rewrite our life script, unlock it to its full potential. So buckle up as Raymond shares with us how it's all connected. Raymond Brown, welcome to Daily with Doc. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
I'm glad to be here. Let's get it on.
Let's get it on. So, Raymond, it's all connected. What are we connecting?
Well, spiritual principles, we are all connected to one another. That's why you can feel the presence of another person's energy. How does that happen? Is because the way life is designed, the way God designed life, is that we are connected to one another. Period. Everything is connected. And you will see as we keep discussing today, to see how it all ties together.
Well, fantastic. And I totally understand that, where we can feel the presence of somebody else just when they walk in the room, even when they come in as a little quiet mouse, or just walking by, we can feel somebody looking at us.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy whenever we're paying attention.
Yeah.
So I'm going to just let you go ahead and dive right in.
Okay. Well. First of all, I'm really grateful. I had a lot of comments from Ruth Ellen and you and other people about the show we had last week. But I do want to say this before we get started. You know, the spirit moves in different ways at different times, right? So, and I will give you I'll give you a good example. If you went to a particular restaurant, say it was romantic dinner, you met this guy, this girl, and and everything went well. It was on that first date, and everything went well, right? Or it could be you was by yourself or with the girl, and it was one of the most fantastic times you've ever had. And you go to that same place a year later, let's say for the anniversary, and the mood is totally different. It's the same place, and here's the reason why. The waiter may be different. The noises and sounds that you heard on that first date is different. Everything is different, and you're different than a year ago. So the spirit moves in different ways at different times. That's why sometimes you can have an exciting platform, exciting meeting. Next time it's kind of somber or humble, and you say, I wonder what happened. It's because the spirit moves in different ways in different times. If the conversation or if the platform is honest, now you can put on airs and put on excitement and whatnot, but that doesn't mean that it's honest and it's true. You're just doing something from your ego versus your heart. Does that make sense?
That makes total sense.
Yeah. So what I'd like to do today, like always, Becca and everybody is to open it up and people can ask questions. Last week we went over a couple of principles that we talked about. I think we went over the last 6 of them, but the first ones we didn't discuss. So maybe today we can get into those, right? And I want to ask everybody, does everybody know what the first principle of spirituality is? Or you can call it growth, self-development. There's a first principle. It's kind of like the first principle of life. The very first principle, if you want to be at peace.
I'm watching the comments to see if anybody here in the room with us know the answer to that.
Okay.
And so we have Lynn that says the Father and I are one. Rod says faith. Somebody else says know the word. Somebody else is saying be true to yourself. Another Julie says connect with God's kingdom, a state of consciousness. So we've got a lot of great answers coming in. What is it?
Yeah, all of those are connected, but the very first principle in your growth, let's say today, and this was your first class, spiritual class you were coming to, or self-development, any wise person would tell you the first thing you want to learn to do is relax. If you
Marilyn got it right. Marilyn said relax.
Who said that?
That.
Marilyn?
Good job. Marilyn, one of our co-hosts. Good job, Marilyn.
Yeah, you get, that's your A for the day, Marilyn. We're going to put a star on your door. Yeah. So relaxation is the very first thing that we want to learn to do. Because, and I'll go over this, and it probably don't make sense because we've been taught that in order to really relax, we must go into some type of deep meditation or go into the Quan or listen to some type of meditation music or things like that. And you don't have to at all. Now, there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you're into, but you want to just relearn to do this. Excuse me. Relax your shoulders, even as we're sitting here now. Relax your shoulders, relax your chest, relax your stomach, relax your hips. And we should do that all the time. If you're in the grocery store, just relax, because it's really hard to think through or to work through almost anything without relaxation. So the first principle is to learn to relax. Does that make sense to everybody? Does anybody have any questions around it? Relaxation.
That totally makes sense to me. And Julio says, nice, true, breathing to relax. And Marilyn is confessing you mentioned it last week and she was just paying attention.
Oh, she tricked us. Well, good, Marilyn. You were paying attention, that's for sure. Anybody else?
Anybody else? And
I want to say yes, yes, because I need to relax.
Yeah. And we should learn and see, we've been programmed through all these years watching TV, reading books and all that kind of stuff. They teach us, well, you got to get in this lotus position, you know, like we talked last week, and you got to hum and do all that stuff. No, if you're in the grocery store, if you're driving, if you're on the phone, just learn to relax. Guys, the rewards, the payoff is beyond anything that you can physically understand or maybe mentally or emotionally understand at this point. Things will begin to happen that you cannot explain to people. Just that little thing, because I was like everybody else. What is this relaxation? But it calms you down. Everything in your world begins to change. The things that you used to get upset about, or you get frustrated, it doesn't happen anymore. You can calmly, have a conversation where you would normally just go off or get upset or get frustrated or go into fear. This will prevent all of that. Now, as we said last week, it takes time to do it, but it's an easy practice. It doesn't take any more than 20 seconds to do. And you can do it all day long, every day. And you should. Watching TV, whatever you're doing, just practice that. And I promise you, we come back and if we discuss what's been going on in your life, what's happening as far as peace and calm is concerned, because the bottom line, that's what we're all looking for, guys. We're all looking, that's the bottom line. We're looking for that peace, that calm, that happiness, right? And we think that peace, calm, and happiness comes from the outside of us. And it never can, it never will. Because here's the way the mind works. By the way, there are basically two minds. There is what we call the lower mind, and then there is a higher mind, or what you want to call the God within us. You know, people talk about that. So the lower mind will mess you up and have messed us up throughout time, because that's where the ego is. It's never satisfied. It always wants something. It tears you down. You know, your nose is too big. You know, you were in this conversation and you should have said that when they said this. It's constantly in turmoil and you're never at peace. And here's the reason why you're never at peace is, again, we're not okay inside. And the reason why we're not okay inside is because that lower mind always wants something, because it's not okay. I'll give you a good example. Well, when I reach the right man, woman, I'll be okay. If my children begin to act the way I want them to act, I'll be okay. If my water bill comes down, I'll be okay. And it's always worried about, and then it starts worrying about the future, or it goes to the past. Let me talk about the past first. You know, again, the guy said something to you in the third grade, or you got into it, or something happened in the third grade, and you're still carrying that stuff over and over. You know, that old saying, our biggest enemy is ourselves. That person, again, may be dead and gone by now, and we're still carrying that same stuff. It's not there. That's why they say all the responsibility of life is on us. We want to think about, well, he shouldn't have said that to me, or she shouldn't have done that to me, right? That moment is already come and gone. I want to ask you something, and because all of us got this stuff in us, right? Is it happening to you right now at this moment? No, it's in the past, it's gone, and there's nothing we can do to change it. And then the mind says, well, it starts worrying about the future. I wonder if I'm going to have enough money to be comfortable in the future. It's constantly on and on and on. Now, here's something that's profound. You can never beat your mind. If you try and out willpower that lower self of you, you can never do it. It will win every time. So here's the solution. When these things come up, no matter what it is, the guy left you at the altar, or you didn't get the raise, or they didn't do what they said they were going to do. The solution is to let it come up. Don't stuff it, because it wants, the way God designed us is he wants this stuff to come up, because beneath that stuff is your joy, your happiness, but we've smothered it with all this stuff, these scars. So when these things come up, and they come up, if you're anything like me, 18 hours a day, anytime I'm not asleep, it's always coming up, that past or the future or whatever. Something happened to me. I'm not going to get what I want, right? When it comes up, and especially the past, bad or good, when it comes up, you release it and let it go. You say, well, Raymond, that's that sounds, how do you do that? Sounds easy. Well, that's exactly what it is. It's easy. You don't have to go through any type of mantra or any of that stuff. Just release, say to yourself, I release it and let it go. Don't fight it. Don't resist it. Just let it go. That's where your peace comes in. See, the struggle comes in when you try and fight it, and all we're doing is stuffing that stuff back down in us, right? So you want to, when it comes up, just release it and let it go. Over and over and over and over again. So any questions on the relaxation part of what we're talking about today?
I actually have a question, Raymond.
Yes, ma'am.
And we had kind of a comment that came in. How does this relate to health?
To health?
To health.
Oh, yeah. Well, I guess I could say this, everything is related. Remember, we talked about everything being related. Well, we talked about
connected.
Everything is connected. We talked about how some people can take our product, as we can use any illness, cancer, whatever. One person heals, the other person, same condition, same diet, same attitude, same everything. And attitude has everything to do with, and what we're talking about now is attitude, letting a lot of that negative stuff, if they're carrying a lot of negative stuff, and again, all these scars that we've been carrying since we were 7 years old, over time, that causes sickness and cancer and things like that. So, and then after it begins to stick its head up, we still are trying to fix that stuff, the past and all that. And we can't do it like that. You have to start right now releasing that stuff. When it comes up 24/7, I release it. You give it a kiss, goodbye. And guess what? 5 minutes later, it'll be right back. Or if you like me, a minute later or 30 seconds later, and you just keep releasing it and you keep releasing it. Guys, this is the way to peace, joy, and happiness.
Absolutely. And, you know, our emotions and what we think, I mean, we can think ourselves sick.
Absolutely. Our cells, we said this last week, our cells listen to us 24/7. I do want to say this, because some people say I have bad dreams and I have nightmares and stuff like that. When you start this work, I've heard of some people having nightmares. That's a beautiful thing. It's being released. All that gunk and stuff in there, don't be afraid of those things. Let them happen. You know, because people try and interpret, you know, nightmares. I wonder what that meant. And then we start talking about it and bringing that stuff into our existence, right?
Right.
That negativity, and start worrying. Well, you know, I dreamed about this. I wonder if that's going to happen. Well, there's a law called the law of attraction, right? I think it can be used in the wrong way, but yeah, let this stuff go. Any questions around this? Because this is very important.
Anybody else have any questions? So you can raise your hand. You can put it in the chat. I'm watching the chat here. We have co-hosts that are watching the chat on the different platforms. We do have a comment here from Julio. He says, fascinating topic. Thanks. This is not a question, but a feeling about the relationship with health. So yes, there's absolutely a feeling and there's a relationship between ourselves and our health.
Yeah, I mean, our mental and emotional health is everything. Is everything.
Absolutely.
I mean, remember. So but I do want to add on to this, even if you are sick, guys, or you know somebody that's sick, or if you can't put this on anybody else or teach this overnight to anybody else, just relax. What we normally do is go into resistance, which makes the situation worse because the mind starts running 1,000 miles an hour. But if you can relax, because worrying about it, it does nothing. But that's exactly what we do. The very opposite of what we should be doing is just relaxing, right?
Absolutely.
Now, guys, I do want to say this. This stuff that we're talking about today, again, it's easy to do right now, especially the breathing. You can start it right now. You don't have to read a book. You don't have to do anything. Just as we're sitting here, start your breathing right now. But as far as and you can start releasing right now. This stuff comes up, you got a bad thought about the past or the future, just let it go. And I release. All you say, just say to yourself, I release and I let you go. And if you want to use whatever you want to use that works for you, if you want to see this energy going out the top of your head, at the back of your neck, whatever, just use what's best for you, what feels good to you. And that's the way you do it all day long. And your life is going to change.
Absolutely.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, you had mentioned something about, things that have happened to in our childhood. And Nancy reminds us of something that Irma Bombeck said, we spend most of our adult life getting over our childhood. And that is something that we can let go. Yeah,
it's unnecessary. And the reason why we don't do that, I mean, everybody knows that what the author just said, but what is the solution? How do I do it? How do I let it go? And it doesn't matter what it is. Justify, guys. I'm going to say something that's going to really move. I mean, really say something out of the box, but it has to be said. Okay, so forgive me. And I have 8 sisters, and I am really.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's why the doctor say I'm not right there. But anyway, but they say 1 out of every 2 women have experienced some form of what's the word I want to use? Come on, ladies, help me. Some form
sexual abuse?
Yeah, huh?
Sexual abuse?
Yeah, sexual abuse or something of that nature. 1 out of every 2 women. And and you grow up with that stuff. Mm-hmm. And until you learn, listen, we cannot, I don't care what it is, even men, we cannot change what has happened to us. Ladies, please understand me. I have a heart of gold, and I feel for you sincerely, being raised with all of those women. But you got to let it go, because I know, being a counselor, I have women come to me year in and year out, and they just won't let it go for some reason. And it's killing them, and they won't let it go. Well, you don't understand. Well, can you change it? Can you change what happened to you? You cannot change it. You got to learn to let it go. And that includes everything. If you want to live a peaceful life, you got to make up in your mind, do I want to be a victim, or do I want to be at peace? And do I want to be happy? Some of us have carried this victimhood so long that when something new comes along that can help us, we resist it, right? Because we're so used to it, feels normal to be a victim, especially in situations like that. Okay, so the next thing is to learn to stay open. Does everybody know what staying open means?
Is that like an open mind, an open heart? What
Yes,
part?
both.
Teachable. So
Yes.
Sherry says teachable.
Yeah, teachable. I'll explain it like this. We, in life, all of us, for the most part, have decided what life should look like and how people should be. We've all been programmed. I mean, down to the nitty gritty. You know, a Black person, a white person, Asian person, you know, Indian person. We've all been programmed, right?
Mhm.
A man, woman, whatever. And so when things don't happen or don't turn out the way we think they should fit that pattern or that mold in our mind that we have made up in our mind, that this is the way it's supposed to be, do you know what we do? We become disappointed. And then we start controlling because it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right because it's you thinking that life is supposed to be a certain way. And if you want to be at peace, you got to just let life unfold. And that's one of the greatest things I've learned is to let life unfold the way it's supposed to be. And that's where that all that mess comes in. That anxiety and all that's depression and stuff is that we think life is supposed to be a certain way. And when it's not, we get depressed. Right? And that's why they say we should never have any expectations of another person. Now that's deep there. Yeah.
That's very deep. And Julio had put in here, nothing is perfect. I think that being open is just not being judgmental and observe things as they are. So definitely the judgmental thing closes us off from being open in my thoughts. And then Donald out on YouTube says, why live in the now is so important.
Exactly. Excuse me. Exactly. So all of the soothsayers, all the wise people in every book that you've ever read or will read talks about, and Jesus talked about the acceptance of now.
Mm-hmm.
Very few of us have ever lived a happy, complete, full life. Because how can we live a life when everything that we think about, 95% of the time, either the past or the future. And so the now, this moment, it passes us by. Mm-hmm. That's what they say, you're missing out on life is because you're thinking about stuff that you can't do anything about. And 95% of the stuff you think about in the future is never going to happen anyway. It's so important to practice. Thank you for saying living in the now, because living in the now means, I'll give you a story, a story that I read. These monks back in the day, and they were on their way to the, I guess, monastery. They'd been out in the wilderness for a while, and they were on their way back. And these thieves and hoodlums jumped them and beat them up. And after the fight was over, the leader of the monks stood up and began to walk again, and so did his followers. They began to, and one of them asked him, "What should we do about this?" And he said, "Mention this no more." That moment was over. Is over. So even the past moment that we were just a second ago is over. Forget about it. It's done. Right? So these are the things that we can do to help us be okay, because we are not okay, guys. And if we follow the script of life, we're not going to be okay. There's no way. Is something wrong with almost with everybody you know. You know, they say it's one perfect family, and they're somewhere down in Arkansas, but nobody's ever met her, right? Yeah. So yes, living in the now is the key, is the secret. All of these things that we're talking about, relaxing, staying in the now, staying out of the past, staying out of the future. These are the things, and the rewards of these things are so, you can't describe it to somebody, the things that will happen. And, you know, I told y'all last week, I was a control freak. And if things I make up in my mind the way a flight's supposed to be, or the way the guy's supposed to act when he's taking my luggage, or, you know, or whatever the case may be, or Yolanda's supposed to act a certain way, or whatever. And I would just be in anxiety, a state of anxiety all the time, just like most of us are, because we are not allowing life to unfold the way it's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, we have Jill saying good stuff. Love the topic. Julio again says not being attached to an identity of the ego. Annie says accepting people as they are. Absolutely. Then Marilyn just reiterates, all of us have been programmed regarding what life should look like and how people should be or act. And, you know, you had mentioned earlier, you know, I'll be happy when something else happens. And you mentioned the kids part. Folks, if you're waiting for your kids to act a certain way or be a certain way before you're happy, you're never going to be happy.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Everybody wants their kids to bring home all A's so they can go to Harvard, right? Or
That's
Duke.
right.
And that
That's
may
right.
not be their path. Let life unfold the way it is. Life is the way it is. Sit back, enjoy life, and watch it unfold. You will find so much peace and calm. And you know, all that energy that we use to try and manipulate or control, all of that stuff, what it does, when we free ourselves from that, we can think clearer. We have a better quality of life when all that mess ain't in us, right? When we're not living by all that programming, it makes you a lot happier and healthier, as Beck was saying about the health. Yeah. Health is tied to our mentality is tied, and energy is tied to everything. Yep. And I love what Julio is saying. Those some pearls, man. So thank you for sharing.
Absolutely. And Corey says to stay forgiving and flexible. I love this interaction, folks. Keep bringing it. We've got more comments coming in from YouTube as well. Accepting, let's see, I got the accepting people as they are again. And also in a driven person, I always try to practice this. Oh, as a driven person. So we've got Hunter out on YouTube practicing. Jill says, my trauma doesn't come from childhood. Had a great childhood, very blessed, and picked up some junk along the way through life's challenges, which that absolutely happens.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, and Julio says, Mr. Raymond, thanks so much. And he has a question. Based on your life story, playing the identity of Mr. Raymond Brown, what's flow? What is the meaning of flowing for you, Raymond?
Exactly what I've been talking about today and last week. That is the flow. It's just watching life unfold. If it's raining, it's raining. If it's hot, it's hot. If it's cold, it's cold. And accepting people, as you said, exactly as they are instead of trying to manipulate. See, that stuff, again, we carry in us, whether it's fear or somebody said something to us in the 7th grade, and it really hurt us. And we will try and have a conversation with somebody or with people to, in a way, to manipulate the conversation so they won't say that same thing to us. So it'll hit our stuff. And then because we know it's gonna send us into anxiety or fear. So we live our lives trying to get something that we want and try to avoid everything we don't want. That is the key. And you can't do that and live. All of these experiences are necessary, right? Because each thing is just an event. We could say, let me give you an example about the mind, right? Going back to the mind, there's two minds. One of the biggest secrets that I've learned, Becca, is that I always, thought that my mind, my thoughts was who I am. I said, man, why am I like that? And I'm not like that. The real me, and I can give you an example. We have the other man, the God mind, because you can observe your thoughts. You can watch your thoughts, right? Can't you watch your thoughts while you thought something or while you're thinking something? There's a higher mind that observes the other mind, right? And the other mind is not who we are. You just think, well, I'm just like that. Well, no, you're not. Your mind, you think we have been taught that our mind is who we are. That lower mind is who we are. And it's not. It's just thoughts. And it's crazy. It's at best, it's crazy. Worse, it's insane. Because it talks to you 24/7. It's like that committee in your head and telling you you're no good and remember what happened to you in the 3rd grade and I don't deserve this and why can't I do this and this, that, and the other. Guys, the real us is absolutely wonderful. We're limitless. We're powerful beyond belief, but we don't live there. We live in that lower mind, and that lower mind will trick you. It will try and trick you that you got to go through all this kind of work and hell and stuff to get to peace. See, that's his job. It's part of the ego. There is such a thing as spiritual ego too. It'll use religion as well. Get people to arguing and all that kind of stuff. There's nothing more than that lower mind, and it will kill you. Absolutely. I'll give you a good example. Wars. We've been fighting wars since the beginning of time. Why? Why? There's something deeply and awfully wrong with human beings to want to take something from another human being or kill another human being because of our selfish reason. Because we want something, right? We can't be peaceful in our own self, And here's the thing about wars, or here's the thing about things like that. Even after you get it, you're not satisfied. You're never happy. We're always wanting more and more and more. And we talked about this last week. You can never find peace from anything outside of you. I don't care what it is. You can find a good woman. You can find, now guys, don't get it wrong, good one. If you think a woman is the key to your happiness, she might be for a while. But then after you get used to it and she starts hitting your stuff, you'll find that another human being is not the key to your happiness. Happiness has to come from the inside. Now, I'm not saying guys go around and say to your woman, you ain't responsible for my happiness and start an argument, So I've seen people do that. But you just have to realize that love is a beautiful thing. We're designed that way for most of us. Certain people that are not designed to be in a loving relationship. Their path is different. And that's why you can say, you get into a relationship and one human being says, how can you do that? I could never do that. Because we've had different experiences. We carry different stuff within us, right? But I do want to reiterate once again that lower mind is something else. Now, it does have a good quality to it, and that quality is it wants to protect us from, putting a hand on the stove, or if a lion runs after you, you run. But for the most part, it is our nemesis. It really is. And you don't fight it, guys. Here's the key to it, because you won't beat it. You can never beat your mind with willpower. I don't care what you say. It'll come back, even if you beat it for a moment, but it's going to come back. Just whatever is coming up, relax, let it come up without fighting or anxiety, and you release it. And after you're doing this for a while, you'll learn, you'll be sleeping better as well, because you're not fighting your sleep. You go to bed, if you're not wanting sleep, if you're not wanting anything, you just say, whatever happens, I release it and let it go. If I can't sleep, read a good book. Just everything. Don't resist. You hear people say, don't resist anything, right?
Right.
Don't resist it. Yeah. Okay.
Well, I think it's in regards to the lower mind. Albert mentioned that it's like a woodpecker. And folks, if you don't know what a woodpecker is, it's like, and it's annoying and it doesn't stop, and it just keeps, it's like picking at it, making things worse. So, and then Julio says, thanks for bringing up the mask of ego called the spiritual ego. He has a question. He says, I asked once somebody at a temple, is there a good ego? He told me it was called self-respect. So my question is, a good thing, right? Is there a good ego? Is that self-respect? How do you interpret that?
I've never heard anybody or read anything on it of a good ego. Now, I'm not saying that it is or it isn't. I've just never experienced that or read anything is about a good ego. The problem with that I could see is just like, the ego wanting something, even if it's good, right? For instance, remember the example I gave of going to the restaurant or going to have that nice first dinner, and it's absolutely wonderful. And then you go back and have that same feeling and experience. Well, the ego can lead you to that, right? That could be the ego, because you become disappointed if you don't experience the same feeling that you had the year before, if you don't get what you want. So it could be a letdown. So that's the only reference I have to that. But other than that, I have no honest record to that.
Right. So he continued, he said, meaning it's not attached to this delusional ego or identity. So that's actually a very good point, or question, Julio, that takes, I think, more looking into for an answer, or sometimes we have to answer that for ourselves. And how do we interpret something?
Yeah. Just understanding that the spirit moves differently from moment to moment. You can go do a meeting, speaking of our business, do a meeting and everything is clicking, everything that night. And you can go to that same venue a week later, and I'm telling you, the energy and the spirit is different. And here's the key. See, here's where the ego kicks in. You're looking for it to be the same way if you say the same thing and do the same thing, it should be like it was last week, but it's not. So that's why everything is tied together. You have to live in the now.
Right. Well, and Donald out on YouTube says, they say, I'm not quite sure who they are, that our mindset, our outlook, etc., is 26% of our health.
Could be.
It very well could be.
Yeah, could be.
So,
I don't know what the numbers are, the percentages are. Yeah.
and then Jill mentions, if you Google what is the spiritual meaning of ego, the ego is the idea of I, who you believe yourself to be. It's the sum of all the beliefs you carry about who you are, your personality, your worth, your abilities. The spiritual ego is a mind infused with spiritual ideas and beliefs. It's the idea and identity of yourself as being spiritually evolved. So thank you so much, Jill, for bringing that in as well. And what are your thoughts on that? Because that is Google's definition. Now, what is the Raymond Brown definition of the difference between the ego and the spiritual ego?
Well, I just think they're the same. They're just in different areas, right? And one is because we've been programmed to accept one. One is not as bad as the other. You know, it's kind of like spiritual ego is two different religions arguing about who's right and who's wrong. Or you see these people walk around all the time and they carry. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, and they carry like they try and make themselves feel better, or you not feel as in other words, I guess what I'm trying to say, they try and out Christian each other, right? Like and they start go around quoting Bible scripts all the time to and I don't know if they're trying to impress themselves or trying to impress the other person. That could be spiritual ego. I'm not saying everybody does that, but a lot of people do that. And they just, in their lives are not, what get me is those people walking around doing these spiritual things all the time or quotes all the time, and their life is jacked up. Now, I can see going through a tough time. We have our different experience, but when your total life has been, depression and all this, and you're talking about how good God is, well, you're not being honest with yourself. You're not being spiritually honest with yourself, and that's where I think spiritual ego sets in. Is not being honest with ourselves, because the ego, it will use spirituality to trick us. That mind, that lower mind, it'll do it. It'll keep us from asking the hard questions to get to the truth. Last week we were talking about, if you really want to grow honestly, one thing is required is that you ask why all the time of everything. You have to do that in order to get to honesty. You cannot grow without honesty, no matter how it feels or how it hurts. No pain, no gain. That's it. We have to ask those questions. And I think, and even it goes back to what we were talking about a minute ago, is that wars, how many people have died over religion, right? Mm-hmm. How many, it's just and that's nothing more than spiritual ego. I'm right and you're wrong is really what the ego boils down to. I'm right and you're wrong, period. I want to win every argument. I got to have the power. I got to be top dog and you got to be less than me. All that's nothing more than ego. I do want to mention this just for a side note. Guys, a problem is not a problem until you title it as a problem. Because everything depends on attitude. Everything. Everything that happens is just an event, a momentary event. Somebody, oh, my life is ruined. No, it's not when this thing happened. It's just a momentary event that happens. Things are going to change the next day, the next minute, if you're open. Now, if you choose to be closed and be negative, then you bring that on to yourself. But the universe is not designed like that. You're not designed like that. You're designed to be happy, to be at peace, all of those things. Things happen when they're supposed to happen, period. And when we accept those things that way, we can be at peace and we can be happy. Right? So you want to spend time with that higher self of you, that part that's limitless, that knows everything, that's connected to everything, right? That's the time, that's where you want to spend your time, reading and studying and those types of things. Not whether I'm right and you're wrong and it's going to make me feel better if I know more scriptures than you. That's spiritual ego.
That's right. And Donald brings up the fact that, yes, use the high energy words like love, joy, that elevate the mind. And one last closing thing. Hunter mentions confidence versus arrogance. Is there a difference?
Yeah, of course. Arrogance is when you think you did it. Mm-hmm. Confidence is where you know it comes from. You're confident in the fact that you know where it comes from. Confidence, real confidence, is laced with humbleness, humility. That's real confidence. You can put on a show all you want to, but the real you, and that's what I love about this business. People eventually get your number. So if you don't grow, your business don't grow, and people will get your number. You can fake it for a little while, but if you're going to grow and build a real strong business, you've got to grow. That's just the honest truth, guys. People will get you can fake it. I remember growing up, that's all I ever did. I looked good. I got a little education. I dressed well. I tried to say the right things. I pretended to be confident, but I was dying inside. Mm-hmm. So I was being a phony, right? But here's the key. I didn't know any better. I wanted to do better. I just didn't know how. I was looking for the answers, and that's what I want to encourage everybody to do: is continue to look, search the answers for you. And what I'm talking about today may not be for you. Not everything anyway, but maybe you can take a bit of something that we discussed today and it can change your life. Add it on. I always say, you don't drop stuff. It's just addition to. And please, guys, ask yourself those questions, even though it's painful. Why am I like this? Why do I have the beliefs that I have? Why do I have, and then you say, honestly, what can I do about it? And then you can go about doing something about it. But until you ask yourself why, there's those saying, if nothing changes, nothing changes. If you don't do anything to change, nothing's going to change. Remember, the answers are never outside of us.
That's right. They are within. And, folks, you've been listening to a message a little different than what we bring here on the Daily with Doc show, because it is so true that true health, holistic health, goes beyond what goes in our mouths. We can think ourselves well. We can think ourselves sick. We have that, and Coach Rod mentions that spiritual and mental health is just as important as physical health, and it all really does tie together, which is why it's all connected and why this message holds true for each and every one of us, whether you want to accept it or not. Your mindset can determine the outcome of any situation, positive or negative. So as we're going through life, we're here in the now. Think about that. Just think about that. Well, we're at the end of our hour, Raymond. If I could have the co-hosts come up with us, I just want to do a quick shout out to each and every one of them. And folks, if you're listening and you've got that mindset, okay, I can do this. I can overcome this situation in my health. And you're looking for a nutritional approach to add to that positive mindset, get back with the person that shared this program with you. Thank them for taking the time to share it with you. And if there's nobody to thank, and you found us all on your own, and you'd like to speak with a certified holistic health coach, we do have a call team standing by at 855-949-3377. Again, that's for people that have not spoken to anybody, not about longevity, not about Daily with Doc, not about Raymond Brown, not about Becca Dukes, whoever. If somebody mentioned any of those names or phrases or entities to you, that's your person. Get back with them and ask them for more information on what you can do to help yourself create a more holistic and a better health journey. We have on today Sherry, who's part of our tech crew, who helps to get the stream going so that the world can see us. Thank you so much, Sherry, for all you do.
Hey, Sherry.
Yes. And we have Marilyn, who just does a super job. She's got speedy fingers, and I know she's taking her glucogel because she can keep up. And she's putting in the chat and typing, dictation, doing such a fantastic job. Thank you so much, Marilyn. We also have Ruth Ellen, who is my executive production manager, helping with getting the stream going and graphics and everything, making sure everything is in place. Thank you so much, Ruth Ellen, for all you do. We have Albert, who is in the background, but letting people in. If he wasn't here letting people in, folks, you could be sitting in the waiting room a long time, because I try to multitask. I'm not always that great, but I do my best. So thank you so much, Albert, for bringing people in. And we had Rod on the screen for just a quick moment, who is bringing in comments and watching things as well. There he is. Thank you so much, Rod, for all you do. Another great motivational speaker that we may have on our show in the coming days, months, years, whatever, if he's not too shy. So, folks, thank you so much for joining us here on Daily with Doc. My name is Becca Dukes. As the leader of this team, the Director of Student Services for the Institute of Holistic Health, a certified nutritional practitioner, and somebody that just cares about people, knowing that there are solutions out there, and the solution that we share is the solution that pretty much saved my life. So give back with the person that shared this program with you. Share with them health issues that you may have going on. And if they're a health coach or a certified holistic health coach, or even just a longevity distributor that cares about helping people, they can help you find solutions to help you in your journey. And folks, health has U-turns. So grab your U-turn today. Go to dailywithdoc.com. You can find a replay of today's program and previous programs, including the one we did last week with Raymond Brown. Thank you so much, Raymond. And you can find other articles there. We have a good foods, bad foods list, and sign up for our newsletter so that you don't miss a thing. That is for everybody. Have a wonderful day, folks. And tomorrow, Friday, we have somebody talking about neurodegenerative diseases. You don't want to miss out on that one. Until next time, bye for now.
Bye, guys. Thank
Bye-bye,
you.
everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Welcome to Daily with Doc and Becca. This program is for educational purposes only. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences of the individual sharing their testimony. Results vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We are honored to have a founding father of the science of epigenetics guiding us with the best options to obtain or maintain optimal health, Dr. Joel Wallach.